What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How y'all doing? It's another episode of Chill with Chill. How you doing, Chill Town? How you doing?
Hey, damn, Big Ox, we in the finals already?
It's about that time. You know, today should be like a holiday. You know, like the
For
first
real,
day,
yo.
first day of playoffs, first day. You know, they should have let the kids get the day off today. No
For
school.
real, yo. The NBA finals start, so that should definitely be something that's preferential. Like the kids no kids in school because it's Christmas. The NBA finals, no school today. For real, it should be like that. Man,
we getting predictions in the chat already. Nuggets in 5, Heat in 6, Nuggets in 6.
Yeah.
Well, how you got it going, Chill Town?
See, the thing about it, Big Ox, man, is I thought that without Giannis, right? I thought that without Giannis, Milwaukee still could beat Miami. I felt like they were more talented. Well, that was wrong, right? The Knicks, I thought that the Knicks would just out tough the Miami Heat. As tough as the Miami Heat were, I thought the Knicks were tougher. They had better rebounding guards. Not only did they have better rebounding guards, it looks like they had better defense. Not only did they have better defense, interior, everything that I thought that Cleveland would do to them, they did to Cleveland. So guys like Robinson and guys like Randall, guys like Josh Hart, they would basically out tough the Miami Heat because I saw the difficult time that they gave the Miami Heat during the regular season. If Jimmy Butler didn't get hurt in game 2, they would have swept New York. They wouldn't even came back up there. That series would have been over. So then we moved to the Boston Celtics, who I thought the Celtics was going to handle these dudes in 5 games. I thought that series was over. There's no way that they could beat the Celtics simply because everything that they do, the Celtics do it better. And the Celtics are tougher. When in reality, it was the complete opposite of that. The complete opposite of that. All the talent that the Boston Celtics had got exposed simply because the Miami Heat were tougher. Not only were the Miami Heat tougher, they were the smarter group. They were the smarter group who adjusted, who countered adjustments. And they really didn't, and Coach Mazzulla didn't really have an answer for Jimmy Butler. He didn't have an answer for that group as a whole, not just Jimmy Butler, but that group as a whole. And because he didn't have an answer for that group as a whole, they jumped on them and they stayed on them. Now, Boston was able to get back in the series, which was surprising to me. But did they spend it all in getting back in the series? No, I don't think so. I don't think that
When you say spend it all, you mean like spend all their luck or spend their bodies, their fatigue now?
That's what I'm thinking, Big Ox. I'm thinking, did they spend it all getting back in the series? Well, no, I don't think that, because when you fight to get back in the series, now you win 1 game, but then you win another game. And then the Miami Heat are supposed to end it in 6. But then you go down there and you win game 6 and an emotional, tough battle. So now you're going home with all the momentum. And then all the air gets sucked out of the arena on the first play of the game when Jason Tatum rolls his ankle. All of it. So because of that, now you got a Miami Heat team that's still riding high, and they're taking advantage of your misfortune. So now that I look at them against the Denver Nuggets, they haven't seen anything like Joker. I don't think that. I think in the last 3 years, I'm not sure if they've beaten the Denver Nuggets in the last 3 years.
Yeah, no, the Nuggets are 6-0.
Yeah, I don't think they've beaten the Nuggets in the last 3 years. Not only have they not beaten the Nuggets in the last 3 years, this offense that the Denver Nuggets possess, it's not anything that the Miami Heat has seen. I'm sure that Eric Spoelstra is in the film room, Ox, looking at tape going, what the hell am I going to do with this guy, Joker? How am I going to deal with him? I have no idea what I'm going to deal. How am I going to deal? Because everything that they plan on throwing at him, if we double him, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. He's going to pick us apart. If we one-on-one him, if I one-on-one him, he's going to destroy whoever is in front of him. If it's Bam, he'll kill Kevin Love. Kevin Love may play drop on him. Well, he'll stick that 18-footer. He'll stick the long, but he'll stick all of that stuff all night. Plus, him in transition, him getting baskets where he's grabbing the ball off the backboard and speeding up the game, going from rim to rim. Whether he's got the ball or he doesn't have the ball, well, damn. Now what do I do with him? So this is a tall task for Miami Heat.
It sounds like you're leaning towards the Nuggets.
I'm just trying to make sense in how Miami beats these dudes, and I can appreciate them being tough, them being gritty, and me betting against them the 3 times, and it was wrong all 3 times. I just think that I think that this Denver team, man, I think they might be too much for them. I think that they might be too much for them, man. I do.
I can see that
And,
being the case.
so, and the reason why I say that is because I look at this Denver group and how this group is put together. And I want to talk to you about this, Big Ox.
Mm-hmm.
I look at this Denver group and how this group is put together, and not just how this group is put together, how they feed off of each other. Where does that come from? Well, that comes from this group being together for as long as they've been together. So you figure Joker came into the league in 15. He got drafted in 14, but he didn't play that year. He came in 15.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Murray shows up in 16. So now we got a 7-year stretch with these two guys together, very much like Giannis and Middleton. We got a 7-year stretch with these two dudes. So then MPJ shows up in 19. He doesn't play the whole season.
Right.
We get him in the fold. Then you get Aaron Gordon in the fold. In addition to getting Aaron Gordon in the fold, you get KCP in the fold.
Mm-hmm.
You get all of these guys in the fold, and you've had them. Bruce Brown. Well, you just got Bruce Brown, but those four guys, you get these guys in the fold. You got a pretty good collection of guys that have been together for a long time. The most important thing about that, though, Ox, is that you can't. If you got the ingredients, you got to get the right chef. Because the wrong chef, he'll burn the food up. The wrong chef, he'll overcook it. He can undercook it, and it just won't be good. Well, they got Mike Malone. He's been on that staff for 8 years. He's been the head coach there for 8 years. So when you put those things together, what you got is you got stability. And when you get stability, what you're going to get is you're going to get continuous results, good results. So when I look at groups like the Denver Nuggets, the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat, the Golden State Warriors, groups like that, the reason why they are as successful as they are, because they've been together for a long time. And you can't put a price on that. So when you throw in crews together and expect it to work out, it's gonna work for a short period of time. That's why it fizzles as quickly as it does. When you get groups like Denver, when you get groups like Boston, when you get groups like the Warriors, right? When you get groups like that have been together for a long time, it doesn't fizzle. These guys have been around for a long time. Not only have they been around for a long time, they're going to be around because they've built something. And I think that's the mark of which way we're going back to. You're going to see a lot of guys with this new collective bargaining agreement. You're going to see a lot of guys sticking with their own crews. Number one, the money situation is going to be different.
Yeah.
And because of the money situation being different, now what that means is guys are going to be able to make more money with the crew that they're on, and it's going to force teams to build better crews.
Mm-hmm. Kind of want to take a step back there when we were talking about Eric Spoelstra in the film room, watching film, just watching Jokic, and he's in there, with his hand on his forehead. Do you think a coach like that, a coach like Eric Spoelstra, especially with having a mentor like Pat Riley, do you think that they're in the film room somewhat excited at a challenge like this, excited at a chance to prove that they can take down a gladiator like Jokic? Do you think that comes in a competitive nature for coaches?
Well, they've already slayed the dragon more than once, more than twice. So they're not looking at Joker like they can't do it. They recognize that, this is a tall task. This is going to be hard. Looking at what Joker does, looking at what Joker brings to the table as an offensive player and how that group plays off of him, of course it's mind-boggling. Like, damn, man, what can we do against this guy? But with that also being said, the Miami Heat culture, they're a culture of competitors. Right. And they welcome that sort of thing, to be able to go after Joker, right? To put him in position where we could be successful against him. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not an easy thing, and I'm sure that Eric Spoelstra has lost some sleep trying to figure out how to deal with Joker. But I think he welcomes the challenge, and I think because the leader that he is, I think that seeps into the rest of the crew. I think that seeps into Jimmy Butler, which seeps into the rest of these guys. Like, we can beat these guys. Yeah. We just got to figure out how.
I think so. Let's see this super chat right here. We got one from Nick Holland. I think Denver on defense will be interesting to watch because Miami offensively matches up really well with Denver.
Well, if you think about Miami, so in terms of offense, Jimmy Butler is their best offensive player, sure. But after Jimmy Butler, Bam is limited offense. He's good offensively, but he's limited. You got Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, who's becoming one of my favorite players, by the way. Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry, Kevin Love. So from a talent standpoint, after Joker, when you look at this Denver group, I don't think the talent is superior. I think that they do match up defensively. I like KCP dealing with Jimmy Butler. I like him dealing with Duncan Robinson. I like him dealing with Max Strus.
So KCP is the matchup for Jimmy. Is it KCP?
I think so. I do.
Is it Aaron Gordon?
I think it's KCP. I think that's the guy that they start with. And I like the switchable parts that Denver has too. So when Miami gets into their action where they got a lot of movement on the perimeter, you got a lot of switchable parts where KCP and Jamal Murray can switch. I'd much rather have KCP dealing with Jimmy Butler primarily. And I also think that when you get into the meat and potatoes of the game, KCP is going to deal with Jimmy Butler. And I think that's a good matchup for him because he's bigger at 6'6".
Yeah.
One of the more rangy defenders. He was a defender when he was with the Lakers when they won the NBA championship.
That's true. But what about so what we've seen Jimmy Butler do to defenders? I mean, he gave Drew Holiday 56.
Yes, he did. He gave Drew Holiday work. Yes, he did. And then it started to go the other way against the Knicks. He wasn't great in this Boston Celtics series. It was good.
With respect to KCP, I do think Jalen, Jason, Grant Williams, I think they're better defenders than KCP. Also, all three of them are bigger than KCP.
Facts. But I also think the kicker is with them, I think that it wasn't until later on that they realized, this guy isn't so tough. Maybe we can deal with him. So I think KCP seeing that, I think he comes into the series already knowing that. I played with LeBron James. I played with Joker. So I've said this to you in the past, Big Ox, about James Brown. Man walk a little bit taller when he walked with James Brown. Well, when you run it with Joker, you tend to stand up a little bit taller because Joker is not that kind of guy who's afraid of anything. So he's going to have your back. I think that defensively, I think they do match up with them. So a guy like MPJ matching up with Duncan Robinson, with Strus, being a bigger perimeter player, being able to ball the shots a little bit more. Same thing with that point guard spot with Jamal Murray dealing with Gabe Vincent. I like the matchups that they have, Bam and Joker. I like Joker's matchup with him defensively. Now, I think that the Denver Nuggets are a little deficient at the rim, protecting the rim, because Aaron Gordon isn't much of a rim protector. Neither is Joker. Even though Joker gives really good effort, he's not much of a rim protector. So I think if the Miami Heat can attack the rim as much as possible, I think they can poke a hole in that Denver defense.
Miami's going to need a hell of a series from Bam.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They're going to need Bam to really show up. I know I sent that link out. I see y'all in the lobby. Let me get to some more, a few super chats. Everybody that knows the Chill with Chill show knows that we get to the super chats. They are a priority.
Yes, sir.
Also, real quick, before I do read the super chat, I've seen some people in the comments. You guys were kind of asking like, "Oh, it's Thursday." So me and Chill both had some prior engagements yesterday. I was traveling and whatnot. So we moved to today. Yep. But Fluent and Chill will still be tonight, correct?
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
Yeah. So I saw a couple of people asking that. Y'all don't worry. Chill, Fluent and Chill, Miss Haley, they will all be there. So y'all,
and we still and Big Ox and we still go on Wednesdays. We still go on Wednesday. It was just this one day yesterday where we had to switch it up, but we still go on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Wednesdays and Saturdays, y'all make sure to be there. John Wick 1GN. How you guys feel about Shannon leaving Undisputed?
I think a lot of times people, they make more of something than what it really is. Big Ox, sometimes relationships run their course.
Yeah.
And sure. I don't think that it's a beef or anything like that. I just think that these two guys have gone as far as they're going to go. And that's just it. That doesn't mean that Shannon hates Skip, Skip hates Shannon. They was together 7 years. And I think that
7 years?
Yeah. 2016. Mm-hmm. And I think that this relationship ran its course. I don't think that there's any animosity between these two. I don't think that there's a problem. I just think that the relationship has run its course, and these two guys, it's time for them to go their separate ways. No, I don't think it's any more than that. But what I will say is, no Shannon, no point. I mean, one of the main reasons why I watch the show is because of Shannon. So, I mean, if Shannon ain't there, then, and I think that they'd be. I don't think that there's. I think there's no way that they let Shannon walk out the front door at Fox.
Yeah.
I think he'll still be there.
Yeah, sometimes relationships do run their course. Sometimes they end amicably, and then later on they fester into something different. There's a relationship similar to that that we were talking about earlier, and we'll get to that between two greats. Sometimes you think they end amicably, and then later on down the road, people are doing interviews calling them terrible teammates. So we'll talk about it. Drink More Water asks, was Boston better off trading Brown for KD?
Nope. I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so is because we get wrapped up in the whole logic of KD being this plug-in player. How'd that work in Phoenix?
I mean, would that hardly we seen second round?
Yep. And I mean they're on the verge of something in Boston. They're clearly on the verge of something in Boston, and they got the formula. We're not that far away.
Chill. You don't think they're going to trade Jalen?
Nah, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Okay.
We're not splitting these two dudes up. No. Now,
right.
paying them that amount of money, I don't think. I think that they're going to come to some sort of median. I don't think it's going to be a situation where. I don't think it's going to be a situation where they automatically do that. Maybe they're just when I think about the money situation, right? So Big Ox, you're talking about the salary cap being at like 100. I think next season, salary cap goes to like 123. Well, salary cap goes to 123. So I got two dudes in both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum that are 318 million, 295 million. That's over 600 million on my books. That means that 120 million per season. That means almost 90% of it is taken up by these two guys. I can't operate like that as a business. I can't operate with two guys taking all the money. I have to get some. There has to be some. It has to be something in there where either the money is front loaded, either the money is back loaded, either the money is on the other side of the contract, as opposed to me just paying these guys this bread and expecting it to work. I think that there's going to be one or two things is going to happen. If these two dudes sign this contract, this money has to be backloaded. And if they don't, Jalen may take less money, which I don't think he's going to take less money to stay in Boston. I think when you're talking about taking less money, Big Ox, you're talking about, I mean, I live in Houston to take less money. I'm in Los Angeles. So I'm not taking less money to live in Boston. No, I'm not doing that. That's not happening. But I don't think that they break this unit up. I think that they'll come to some sort of agreement.
Yeah. So initially, I was thinking the same thing. I always thought they're sticking together, but then after Jaylen Brown made the All NBA team, so he's able to get that much money, and then seeing them, losing Game 7 the way they just did, I just, so I was thinking maybe they would do something else. Also, as you know, Chilltown, I'm kind of pushing for Jaylen Brown in Sacramento.
Of course.
So I'm just trying to speak that into existence.
Of course. Yeah. Now, remember, what they're not going to do is they're not going to let Jaylen Brown walk out the front door because he's still in contract for a year. Right.
Yeah,
so it's not like his contract is up. His contract isn't up until the end of next year. So they're not just going to let him walk out the front door. No. There are certain guys that, they'll addition by subtraction does work. In this particular situation, they're not letting him walk out the front door.
No. They got to get something for him. They got to get something for sure.
Absolutely.
The legend Angie Carr says, saw this on YouTube. Thoughts on Harden to the Suns?
That's my thoughts on Harden to the Suns. That's how I feel about James Harden to the Suns.
Speaking of the Suns, actually, y'all hold on one more second in the lobby. We got one more thing I want to talk about, Chilltown. Speaking of the Suns, so is it true that Monty Williams is now the head coach of the Detroit Pistons?
He just accepted a 6-year deal for $72 million, which I'm really feeling. I'm not thinking about the money more than I'm thinking about the years. So
6 years.
With a team like Detroit, where they're in the process of building something, right? They're in the process of building something. They got a top 5 pick. They got Cade. They got they got Ivy, who I like. So this kid Durham also, I really like. I really like him. The X factor here is what's the plan moving forward with Wiseman? Is Wiseman a guy that they're looking to trade on draft night? Is he somebody that they're going to move forward with? What's their plan with him? Because
can those two play together?
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking with Jay Durham. I'm thinking to myself, can these two guys play together? Because Wiseman was a pick and pop big when he played in college. He was also a pick and pop big when he played with the Golden State Warriors. Wasn't very good, but he also played sometime as a pick and pop big with the Detroit Pistons. Now the question is how does Monty Williams plan to implement him in that offense? And also, how does he plan to deal with him defensively? Because we already saw what that looked like between him and Ayton. We already saw what that looked like between him and Ayton. So is this a problem between him and big guys, or was it just Ayton? I'm interested to see that, but I will say that I like the hire simply because of the time. Yeah. It's not like it's a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal. We actually got some time to build this thing. I think Cade's going to turn into a player. I think Ivy, I think that backcourt, you building your unit around that backcourt. They're definitely onto something. I definitely believe that they're onto something. 100%.
I like that it was 6-year deal with that with that kind of youth, that kind of potential. Also, what I like to say about the big fella down there up there is that the differences between him and DeAndre Ayton. Now, I'm not saying he's as good as DeAndre Ayton or better as DeAndre Ayton, but he has a different style than DeAndre Ayton. He's trying to get on the rim. You know, he's attacking the rim. He's trying to offensive rebound, straight dunking it. You know, he's not with the finesse. You know, all the cute stuff. I don't think Monty's going to have an issue with him as far as getting some production out of him.
Well, you said it yourself, Big Ox. You know, I look forward to a guy, in the words of my man Big Ox, when you get him the ball in the box to get busy. Yeah. I look. So how many guys can I say that, I can throw you the ball in the box when you got a mismatch? Get busy. Yeah. Get to work. And is James Wiseman that kind of big where I can throw him the ball in the box and go, big fella, get busy. Go to work. Now, we're going to find out moving forward because he just got traded there. So now he's got a little bit of a half a year under his belt. Plus, he's got the whole summer to come back and get sharp. He's healthy. So I'm interested to see how Monty Williams, if they don't trade him, I'm interested to see how Monty Williams implements him in that system.
Yeah, I was talking about the
Durham too.
Yeah, I was talking about. I like. He kind of reminds me of, as not as good, obviously, but kind of like a young Dwight play style. You know, he's obviously not Dwight. You know, I'm not trying to say that, but he kind of goes after it. And I liked Wiseman a lot at Memphis. I just don't think the Warriors were a good fit. I think that was a bad pick for them, for both of them. They probably just should have got LaMelo. But that happens. Yeah. Context, what's going on, brother?
Yo, what's happening? What's happening, fellas? Salute.
Norris, how y'all doing?
What's happening, Chill? Salute. OG, what's going on? Ox like the beam. You already know what's going on. I got two gripes with Mr. Chill. I have to disagree with you, my brother. I think that there's a double-edged sword, right? With Jaylen Brown. The fact that he was an all NBA player, but then when it came to the meat and potatoes, which is the playoffs, he didn't perform like the way he was supposed to perform. Now, it's not so much the players believing in him, it's the front office at this point, right? Is the front office in terms of, do they feel like they're able to expend all of that money on just two players, and then we don't know. It's the same thing like with I don't know if you remember Andrew Wiggins' contract, that big contract that he had before in Minnesota. Even the owner had to have a dinner with him and say, am I able to trust you with this money? Are you going to improve after I give you this money, right? So you also said at a certain point you are who you've displayed to us you are, right? So do you feel confident in having the two redundant play styles that they have, and do you think that it's going to be able to give you a championship level if they don't improve? Because that's the thing. It's we can assume that they're going to improve, but so far what we've seen is that their skill sets don't complement. It's more of redundancy. So that's why I think the front office might take the stance of, we might not be able to pay you all this money, which might be a slap in the face.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why I have to give you a little bit of pushback on that. And also, I think getting a more explosive guard like a Dame Lillard, like a Trey Young, I think what it will do is it would set the roles on the team a little bit easier in terms of schematics and in terms of play style. You know what I mean? It will allow Jason Tatum to be that full 3-level scorer that you want from him, right? Where he can expand on his post. When you have a guy like Trey Young who's handling the rock, you don't have to do that much decision making. It now, like Chill, you always reference, turn your brain off and just be a assassin. I think Jason Tatum would benefit more having that responsibility, and then Jaylen Brown, it would force him to improve. Being a number one, you know what I mean? So we can see, can you live up to that talent? You know what I mean?
Well, so let's rewind the clock back to them being redundant. So Jason Tatum had a career year this year. That's number one. Not only did he have a career year, so did Jaylen Brown. He also had a career year in terms of scoring. It wasn't just give Jason Tatum the ball, let him go. Give Jaylen Brown the ball, let him go. Jason Tatum came back. He was a more improved passer. He was a more improved playmaker. Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, that handle, I've said it to you in the past, it's amateur at best. And the reason why it's amateur is because I think that his brain is moving too fast. And I don't think that it's an issue of him not working on his game. Because I do think he works on his game. When he showed up to the league, he wasn't the transition player that he is today. He wasn't the mid-range shooter that he is today. He wasn't the one-on-one player that he is today. So it's obvious that not only does he work on his game, these two guys playing off of each other, I think that they work well together. And the reason why I say that is because 4 times in the last 7 years since they've been together, they've been in the NBA, in the Eastern Conference Championship, in the NBA Finals. I think that this was more of a coaching style. I think that Coach Mazzulla, I think he had them at the long ball line way more than he should have. I think that they should have been more of an in-between team. I think that they could have been a better transition team in addition to being a good defensive team. Now, with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum playing off of each other, I think that they play off of each other really well. I think the problem that we have is I don't think it's those two more than it is at the lead guard spot. Because when I watch Marcus Smart, he turns the basketball over a little bit more than I would like for him to turn the basketball over. I'd like to see him be a better distributor. I don't think that you need an elite point guard. Like I would love Mike Conley in Boston, 3 years younger. I would love Mike Conley in. So if we could have, how about what's the kid's name in Memphis? Trey Jones?
Trey Jones.
Tyus Jones.
Tyus Jones.
I love Tyus Jones in Boston. Number one, I think he's a starter. Number two, he's going to defend. Number three, he's going to distribute, and the ball is going to hop. Right? Not only is the ball going to hop, I think guys like Jason Tatum are going to be able to play off the ball. I think Jaylen Brown is going to be able to play off the ball. I think the kind of scorer that he could be is more of a scorer in transition and getting him in one-on-one situations, not just one-on-one situations in the half court, but one-on-one situations in a secondary break, because I think that's where he excels. Right? So when you get him in situations like that, I think he can be so much better. I do think he works on his game. I don't think that there's much more improvement. I think that in terms of the ball handling, I think it just needs to be dumbed down. I don't think he needs to be Kyrie Irving or anything like that. I just don't think he needs to dribble the basketball as much, because it's obvious. It's obvious that the more he dribbles the basketball, the more prone he is to turning the basketball over. But I like these two. I'm not breaking these two up. No, I'm not.
And that's the thing. Like, I understand you definitely don't want to break them up. It's so much you have to remember is the brass. It's the money plays such a big part, especially with the CBA, because you in one tier they're charging you $1.50 for every dollar that you spend over the cap, and then the following second tier is $1.75 for every dollar. So you are going to. It's not even so much the contracts; it's the tax of that contract, which is going to
$3. It could be as much as $3.50.
So the thing about it is that you're going to, it's gonna behoove you to, based on what you're gonna see, and like you said, obviously the point guard could change the dynamic of that team, right? It's just what I'm worried about is, can they fill out the rest of the roster to complement those two styles, right? Because the thing about it, like I'm thinking about it in the terms of the triangle offense. Let's throw an offense onto that team, right? Let's say the triangle offense. I think they would thrive very easily in the triangle offense, but you would need complementary players to to improve the spacing. You can't have a guy like Luke Longley on that team. You would need a solid shooter, right, to space out the floor to allow those cutting lanes and those driving lanes, those backdoor lanes.
Well, Luke Longley could knock down the mid range. That would work. I mean, you could have a big guy.
Horford could knock down.
But I think Horford is a little long in the tooth. I do think you need to get younger. I think you need to get younger, and I think you need to get a scorer in the interior. I don't think you need a 18
like a Nas Reed. Like a Nas Reed. What do you think about like a Nas Reed? Because he's $1 million on the books right now. Obviously, I think he got some more money. He's going to get some more money this free agent. But I think he will be a perfect fit. Pick and pop guy, can pick and drive, has some IQ. So I think he will be a good fit as a backup big.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask Norris if he wanted to chime into this, if he had any thoughts on this.
Y'all can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to agree with you, Chill. I'm not going to break up the Jaylen Brown Tatum experiment yet. I want to agree with you on we got to change the point guard dynamic up, man. I've seen enough of that Marcus Smart experiment, man. Like, he turns the ball over too much. Sometimes he shoots the ball too much. And it's like sometimes it makes it harder on the offense. And then as well, like Al Horford, this series, it showed me, man, he's just getting a little old, man. Mm-hmm. I want to see some more minutes of Robert Williams. You've seen it in the Heat series. Miami, he couldn't score on him. I just don't know why he couldn't play more minutes.
Injuries.
He was playing 14 minutes a game, and you seen it. Jimmy Butler couldn't score on him. Bam, he was struggling, but Bam especially couldn't score on him. The whole team couldn't score on him. I just didn't understand why he couldn't get more than 20 minutes. He was getting 14 minutes every night. I was getting tired of Al Horford. He was just shooting threes all day. Like,
I don't have a problem with Al Horford stretching the defense, but I think Al Horford is still – I do think he's still viable, but I don't think he's viable on a championship team. Right. And the reason why I say that is – the reason why I say – when I say viable, I mean a starter. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. Got you. Okay, got you.
Yeah, I can see him.
I do think that he's a guy who can play significant minutes in rotation, sure. Mm-hmm. But I can't rely on him like I rely on Bam, like I rely on Aaron Gordon, like I rely on when I think about interior presence, like I rely on Anthony Davis. I can't rely on Al Horford like that. And the reason why I can't rely on him like that is because he's long in the tooth. Mm-hmm. And I think the Celtics need interior scoring. I think that they need to upgrade at the point guard spot. I think that they've gotten all that they're going to get out of Marcus Smart. I'm not ready to break this unit up yet, though. But I think that they do need to upgrade at the point guard spot. And I do think that they need to get some interior scoring. I don't think you need an 18, 20 a game guy in the post, because what the Miami Heat team did was they exposed how deficient you are in the post. So Coach Mazzulla made an adjustment during the series where when Eric Spoelstra Eric Spoelstra ran a zone, right? He ran a 2-3 zone. Only except what it was a 2-3 matchup zone. Right. Now in a 2-3 matchup zone, all it is this man-to-man. All you're doing is switching. That's all you're doing. You're covering a zone. So you can still run your man sets against a 2-3 matchup zone, but the adjustment that Coach Mazzulla made, which was too late, was he put Jason Tatum in the middle of the zone. Well, he put Jason Tatum in the middle of the zone. He should have done that in the beginning. And the reason why he should have done that in the beginning is because that's your best playmaker. That's one of your best ball handlers, one of your best jump shooters. So when you got Jason Tatum in the middle of the zone, now what you're doing is you going downhill with these two guards behind me, and you're basically playing 3-on-2.
Right.
And you 6'9". So if that big fella is coming to you, you either going to beat him to the basket or you kicking out to the wing to one of these guys. That was an adjustment that could have been made. Right. But if you got a point guard, if you got a point guard who's a better distributor, I think you can get better. I think you can get better production out of that offense. Defensively, I think they're good.
I would have to agree with that.
Your mic.
Fellas, we do got to move it on. Appreciate y'all for coming up, though.
My man.
Yeah.
I want to ask one thing before I just for Chill and Ox. Who do you guys? I've asked this in a couple of streams, but who do you guys think is going to regress in the finals? I won't stay on, but who you guys out of both teams, Miami
backwards,
and who you think is going to regress from the way that they've been performing up till now? Who do you think is going to be? And then also who you guys have predictions?
Okay, for sure. That's a good question.
Go the other way. I'm gonna think about that one. I gotta think about that one, Big Ox. Who's gonna go the other way, right? So if you look at that Miami Heat team, who is a guy who can regress? Well, Bam could possibly go the other way simply because him having to deal with Joker as much as he's got to deal with Joker.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He could very well go the other way. A guy like Max Strus, who's going to be covered by KCP. I don't know how much more he can regress than he already has, but I also think that he could get better too. So the one guy that I'm thinking about is Bam, just because of the responsibility that he's going to have. I think that he could. I think that he could go the other way.
Would it be crazy to predict that the regression would be in Jokic?
No, and the reason why is because his not just his offense, but his attack, his ability to, he does so many things, and I think it's going to be really difficult for Miami to slow down all of those things that he does. That's why I'm thinking about his regression. That's why I'm not really thinking about his regression, because he does so much. Yeah. A guy like MPJ, you might be able to slow him down because he's primarily a long ball shooter. And if his long ball isn't, and if he's not cracking the long ball, he's not really doing that much else. So when I think about Joker in terms of his regression, I just can't see it simply because of how much he does and how much he brings to the game.
My take is Jokic. My take is that Eric Spoelstra and specifically Pat Riley is old school enough to where he's just going to be like, you know what, Eric, this is what we got to do. We just got to just play ball. The scheming's not going to work. Jokic is ahead of the scheme. Mike Malone's ready for the scheme. I think Bam got to show us who he is this series and see if he can really be the one. You know what I'm saying? If he can really be the one to stop Jokic. Now, obviously, stop Jokic is crazy, but I mean, slow him up, change it up, make him turn the ball over, make him uncomfortable. And I want to see if Bam can do it. So that is my take, Chilltown. My take is that Bam Adebayo is going to show us who he is in the finals.
I think he's already done that, Big Ox. I don't know how much more you're going to get from the big fella, but all right.
I think he's gonna be the one to stop.
And I'm a big time Bam fan. Anybody that knows me knows I've been hyping up Bam for years. Like last year, everybody was talking about the idea that you got to trade Bam. I'm thinking that's the problem that we have with this generation. What you guys do is you give up quickly instead of the logic of demanding that he get better. Don't let him off the hook with him signing a contract and then after a year you just dump him off to somebody else. No. Demand that he get better. This isn't good enough. Demand that he get better. Certainly. Hold him accountable.
Certainly. Here goes a super chat from Assist. What teams that missed the playoffs could have made it if E. Spo was their coach?
I think Orlando.
I
do. I think with all of that talent that they got down there in Orlando, with the Rook Pablo, with Bo. With that kid Anthony, with Markelle Fultz, I think Spo would. Just so you know, they were in dog fights with the Miami Heat during the season. There was one game I watched where Miami beat them in double overtime. It was something like double overtime that the Miami Heat beat them. Yeah. So a team like a young team like the Orlando Magic. Oh, I think Spo would. They would be so much better with Spo because he would have them in schemes. He would have them in action where they would just look so much better. Absolutely. Orlando is one of those teams that I think that could have made the playoffs with Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah. I think we've talked about this before. Yeah, I'm big on Orlando. I think Orlando has a very bright future.
Yeah, they on to something down there. Yes, they are.
It's All Lab says, are there any young players in the NBA you see and think when he figures it out, the league has no shot? For me, it's Banchero in Orlando.
If you watch Pablo Banchero, he reminds me of a more athletic version of Antoine Walker. That's who he looked like to me. Right. And once he gets to the bottom of it, I think that he's going to be a perennial all-star. I think he's going to be looking at a guy. I think you're going to be looking at a guy that's going to be on the All-NBA team. But the one guy that if he figures it out, because just so you know, guys, figuring it out in terms of your game, there's a number of different things in figuring it out. Figuring out your health. Right? Not just figuring out your game, figuring out your health. If this one guy can figure it out, he's going to be unstoppable. That's Zion. If I could get 60, if I could get the amount of games that I get out of Jimmy Butler. So over the last 10 years, I've gotten on average I've gotten 63 games a year from Jimmy Butler. He plays 64 games. If I could get 60 games a year for the next 5 years out of Zion, forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
That's all.
That's including the playoffs.
Yeah, that's all. Oh, so that's 63 including the playoffs.
That's not including the playoffs.
Oh, it's not. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, we got one from Drink More Water.
Mm-hmm.
Is CP3 a realistic trade option for Boston? Maybe package Smart, Danilo Gallinari, Peyton Pritchard, throw in a first in 2028 if need be for CP3. Who says no?
Drink more water. Did you see CP3 in Phoenix? Just so you know, we don't have a time machine where we're gonna rewind the clock on him and make him younger. He's getting older. So now what you want to do is you want to put him in a tougher conference. And not only do you want to put him in a tougher conference, you want to put an older Chris Paul on a championship team, and he's gonna have to log heavy minutes because he's their lead guard now. How do you explain how that's gonna work? Yeah. I don't see it. Man. What up?
CP3.
That's what I was thinking, man.
In Boston?
Ooh, especially after this injury, it's gonna be bad.
Man, y'all, man, y'all got me. Yo,
hey, Leaf, we can't hardly hear you, Leaf.
Y'all gonna raise me, y'all gonna raise my blood pressure today. CP3 in Boston? Are y'all kidding me? Come on, man. Stop playing around, man.
No.
Listen. Hey, listen, I could easily come in here and talk about all the old shit, man, that we done talked about. But one old thing I want to get to, Chilltown. You remember when we was talking about the Phoenix and Denver series? And I was talking about the pick and roll with Joker, how he need to overcome that in that particular series. Mind you, they was facing Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, who was combined was damn near averaging 60. I don't
almost
know.
80. Almost 80
like
at one
that,
point.
Yeah, almost 80. Like in some games, and probably most of the wins.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is like, and you told me basically, well, he can counter that with his offense. What he gave him, 53. He had a 30-20-10 game, another 30-20. I'm like, yo, we might be. I think. Listen, and I have refused to give this person credit. But Legend of Losing, bro, was like he was dead on.
I already knew you was gonna say him.
He was but listen, he was dead on. We might be watching one of the greatest offensive players probably in this century. We might be, like, because his ability to pick apart defenses with his passing and give you all that you want on scoring. Chilltown, you said it all. If you want to play physical, we can play physical.
Whatever you feel like
doing. If you want to play inside, we can play inside. We want to play outside. You want to play off the screen, you can play off the screen.
Whatever you feel like doing.
Here's what I'm gonna tell all the people that believe in Miami. If you play man, you're gonna get killed.
Oh my
if God. You play zone, you're gonna get killed. You're gonna sit there, you're gonna take this ass whooping, and that's all it's gonna be to it. It's just that simple. You are playing a team that is a combination of Boston, Golden State, and Phoenix.
Oh my God.
That's what they're a combination of, and I'm gonna prove it right now. With the way they remind you of Boston is from 1 to 5, they got everybody that can score. That's one. And Golden State, the way that they run their sets, the way that they run off-ball action. And in Phoenix, the way that they create mismatches all goddamn day. There's not a chance in hell. You're going to stand there and you're going to take this ass whooping. That's all it is to it. You understand me? That's it. So all you Miami Heat fans, everybody that's on Jimmy, and Jimmy gonna do this, Jimmy gonna do that, Jimmy gonna have a great series. He is. But he gonna get his ass whooped.
He might not. That's what's crazy. He might not even have a great series. He might have a game or two that's good, then the other game be all right.
I'm gonna tell you what's not happening. Big Ox. I'm not getting sucked into this logic because I did it before, yo. I'm not. Because I know who Miami is, man. I'm not getting sucked into it, Big Ox, because I said it with the Boston Celtics. I said it with the Knicks. I said it with Milwaukee. I'm not getting sucked into this logic, yo. No,
the Nuggets different, though. You know the Nuggets. The Nuggets is different.
The Nuggets is a whole nother level. The Nuggets is a whole nother level, man. Listen,
I've seen it too many times with these dudes. Right? So let's start with Milwaukee. Just from a talent standpoint, What are they doing beating Milwaukee? Their second best scorer goes out with a broken hand. What are they doing mopping the Milwaukee Bucks out the playoffs? With Giannis, by the way, not only did Giannis play, they had a 15-point lead, 2 of those games that they lost, with Giannis on the floor in the second half. What are they doing serving the Milwaukee Bucks? Okay, so Milwaukee's gone. So now we got the Knicks. The Knicks show up. Now, the Knicks, on the other hand, they can't really score like I thought that they could score. If Jimmy Butler doesn't hurt his ankle, they ain't even coming back to New York. We're not coming back up here. That's that. And then now you got the Boston Celtics, who they're a juggernaut offensively. We could do everything. They should have swept them dudes. I'm not saying that they should have beat Boston. They should have swept them dudes.
Listen.
They should have swept them dudes, right?
So
with that all being said, I'm looking at this Denver team and I'm looking at Joker, and I know how tall a task this is going to be because they ain't seen nothing like this. They of all the teams that they ain't seen nothing like this. But I know who this Miami Heat team is, and I know one thing that's going to happen. They are going to fight, and I can't put a price tag on that. I can't.
They are going to fight. You know what? And they're going to fight, and they're going to get their ass whooped. That's all it is to it. And I'm going to explain to you. And since you brought up Milwaukee and you brought up Boston, let's remind ourselves. Since Jimmy Butler got there, they beaten Milwaukee. Not once, but twice. They beaten Boston. Not once, but twice. They beaten Philly last year, and they probably would have put a foot in their ass again. The Knicks and all these other teams, had the hell with them.
You wasn't high on Milwaukee from the beginning. Man, you went back and forth from it. You was not high on Milwaukee from the beginning. You just wasn't.
Listen. It is what it is. But the fact of the matter is, Miami Heat has ran the gauntlet in the Eastern Conference. The best of the best in the Eastern Conference in the last 4 years, they have taken them and they have beat them. But this is the West. This is the West. And all this series is going to prove is it had Jimmy Butler hit that shot last year that he was supposed to hit, man, in Game 7, they would have got a foot in their ass by the Warriors too. That's all it proves. They can't beat nobody in the West. The last time they won in Denver, it was 2016. They can't beat nobody in the West. Not nobody. They couldn't beat the Lakers. They wasn't going to beat the Lakers this year. They couldn't beat the Lakers in 2020. They couldn't beat no Golden State team. They couldn't beat no Phoenix team. And they damn sure not going to beat the Nuggets. They're going to stand there and they're going to take this ass whooping. They're going to fight, but they're going to get their ass kicked.
That's a fact.
Stand up. You got Denver in the finals, man. Swole up. Stop playing.
All right.
Man, hey,
sounds good. Sounds good, Lee.
Chill, you had said earlier, you were saying who you think regress the most. You said Bam.
Yeah.
I think offensively, I think he can regress, but Bam, he do so many things on the court, just like Jokic. He can kind of make his work if he played decent on defense. Make a couple of good passes. But but this is my thing. It's because I got somebody different. I think Caleb Martin, he gonna regress the most. One, because he's playing so high. He playing at the highest I feel like he gonna get. He's not gonna play no higher than what he at now. Two, they going to Denver the first 2 games. I feel like the Nuggets gonna get him out the way first 2 games. So just off that, he gonna have a good 2-game series. That's what I think. Right. So I think he gonna regress the most out of everybody.
Well, when I think about Caleb Martin, I think about a guy who's gotten progressively better every series. That's number one. Not only has he gotten progressively better, they just played. The Denver Nuggets haven't played in almost 10 days. So the fact that they've been off for as long as they've been off, I wouldn't be surprised if this game tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if Miami beat them. That would not surprise me tonight if Miami beat them.
That's Miami's best chance of winning.
Though. I feel like that altitude gonna get them first game, though, right or wrong.
Well, they've been out there for 2 days. So the fact that they've been out there for 2 days, it's not like they just got out there last night and
that's true.
We got to play. No, they've been out there for a couple of days now. So they know what it is. They do know what it is. So
here is the issue. They put Duncan Robinson on the court. That is food. It's that simple.
No, we said that with all the other. We said that with Boston, he was fooled. We said that with the Knicks, that he was fooled. We said that with Milwaukee, he's fooled. Meanwhile, this dude is 50% on the long ball. So teams go after him. The difference is the Miami Heat, they play such good team defense, and they do a good job at hiding guys. They do a great job at hiding guys.
They can't hide guys away in the series.
Yes.
They can't hide nobody against them.
They can put Duncan Robinson on MPJ. MPJ is just gonna be shooting the 3.
That's what I was thinking too.
It's like he's gonna be picking on.
He gonna dunk on his little ass. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Listen.
Leaf, first of all, you keep saying little. Number one, MPJ 6'10", Duncan Robinson 6'8". It ain't like he's 6'3". He's 6'8".
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say it as loud as I possibly can to everybody in the chat.
Don't say it as loud as you can, Lee.
I'm gonna say it. Everybody in the world is gonna find out exactly who the Denver Nuggets is tonight. Y'all been harping on this Miami crap, man, for the last. That series is supposed to have been over in 4, and every last one of y'all know it. It's just that simple.
First of all, Lee, why you so upset? Number one, you came in here, you wanted these 2020 dudes and these 2010 dudes. You want them out of here. They gone, right? So you should be happy. What's your problem, Lee?
I am happy, but what I'm not happy, what makes me unhappy is all this capping about Miami Heat. They gonna get their ass kicked by a very, very good team. That's just plain and simple. Y'all gonna find out tonight exactly who Jokic is and exactly who the Denver Nuggets is. I'm done with this, man. I'm washing my hands with this. You need to stand up. You got Denver as your pick. You need to throw the damn towel. Nuggets and fries on me.
I had him. I definitely had I had the Denver Nuggets coming out the West, and I'm sticking with them.
Oh, I'm chatting FIFA, boy. Go ahead, watch the game tonight. You're going to see a murdering. It's going to be blood all over the damn place.
I wouldn't say that. I'm
saying it.
Yeah, he wild for that.
All right, Leaf. All right, fellas. We're going to let y'all go. I appreciate y'all pulling up, though, as always.
I appreciate you for letting me on, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. My man Leaf.
Go live, man. Stop being scared, man.
my boy Leaf is comedy, boy. Oh, ain't nobody scared. You ain't got to worry about that. I just got other stuff going on. That's all. My boy Leaf, he is comedy, yo. Oh my God.
Man. That's
my boy Leaf is straight comedy. 100% he is.
Yeah.
Yo.
Barn Burners Inc. Murray the X Factor. He's been doing big in the fourth.
Yeah,
he's been big in the fourth.
Yes, he has. 100% he has. And I don't know if he's the X Factor because he's one of their main guys. So you expect him. An X Factor is a guy who you don't expect to do anything. Or you don't not that you don't expect him to do anything. An X Factor is a guy who can give you more than what he's already given you. And that can bolster the team. So Murray, I don't think Murray's an X Factor because we already know, number one, he's one of the better guards in the league. Number two, he's been playing great in the playoffs. So he's all over their scouting report. So the idea that he's going to come out of nowhere or he's going to give them more, I mean, I don't think that's news. We already know who he is.
From Brian Holiday, what's the news of Skip and Shannon breaking up? Do you have any advice for keeping good working relationships?
Hey, man, Brian, listen, there are a lot of times when you could have a good working relationship, it's just run its course. It's not necessarily somebody not having a great working relationship with somebody. You can have great communication. Me and Big Ox got great communication, but our relationship may have run its course and we've gone as far as we're going to go. That doesn't mean that me and Big Ox can't work together. That doesn't mean that me and Big Ox got a problem. That just means that, we've gone as far as we're going to go. Now, in terms of having a great working relationship, the idea is to keep that line of communication open. If Ox got a problem with me, I got a problem with Ox, I know I could come to him and I could talk to him about it. He could come to me. He could talk to me about it. We got stuff going on with the show. If there's an idea that I have, I'll bring it to him. If he got an idea, he'll bring it to me. And we keep that line of communication open and we understand each other. So the idea of having a good working relationship is to keep that line of communication open and continuously talk to each other.
Facts. Communication is always key. Hunter,
what's up, guys?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Hunter, I can't hear you, man. You gotta
now. I can't hardly hear you, my man. I can hear you now. Yeah, now I can hear you. You good?
All right. What's going on? Chill. What's going on, Bob?
What up?
Not much.
Okay. So, Chill, let me ask you a question. Right here, right now, who is the best player in the NBA?
Giannis.
All right. Okay. Ooh. Okay, then
Who do you
because
have, Hunter? You sound relieved. Are
I
you
also
a
have
Giannis
Giannis.
too?
I also have Giannis because I do think winning bias has played a heavy factor in Jokic's elevation into some people's lists. Don't get me wrong, I still think Jokic is probably number 2 for me. But it's like,
What I want to do, I want to take the word bias off the table. You're not biased if somebody wins. That's the standard. So if you look back on great players, how they became the best player on the planet, what did they do? They won. But they also did some things to lead up to them winning. They didn't just win and overnight they became the best player on the planet. No, they won, but then they did some things previous to that to lead up to them winning. So Joker, in order for him to be the best player on the planet, like Giannis was, he's got to win. That's not a winning bias. That's the standard.
yeah, but the thing is, like,
Sebastian.
Jokic individually is the same. Sorry, it's the same as his regular season. It's just now that his team has won, I feel like people just think highly more of him more than they did previously, even though he didn't improve. You know what I mean?
Well, number one, he did improve. I think he's gotten better this year than he was last year because he's got MPJ, he's got Jamal Murray. KCP is playing better. So Joker has improved because with him having all of these weapons, having all of this, having the way that this offense is configured, he's definitely improved his skill set, having all of these guys. But when you talk about a guy being the best player on the planet, what's the standard? Rewind the clock back to the 2001-2002 season. Tim Duncan wins the league MVP. Not only does he win the league MVP in that season, he wins the league MVP in 02-03. He wins the league MVP in 02-03, back-to-back league MVPs, wins the NBA championship, wins the finals MVP. That's 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs in 5 years. That's the best player on the planet. Kobe Bryant in 2008 wins the league MVP. Takes his team to the NBA championship. They lose the next year. Not only do they win the NBA championship, he wins the finals MVP. The next year does the same thing, take his team back to the NBA championship. They win the NBA championship. He's still playing at an MVP level. I think he finished third. I think he finished third that year in league MVP votes. So even though I felt like James was the better player, I couldn't deny staying consistent. Bryant was the best player on the planet. So when you're talking about a guy being the best player on the planet, there's things that lead up to him being that. Now, even if a guy, quote unquote, doesn't improve, if he's playing at that level, he doesn't have to quote unquote improve immensely. Like Joker doesn't have to jump over the moon to be better than Giannis because it's close between these two. It's not like Joker is leaps and bounds. It's not like Giannis is leaps and bounds better than Joker. No, I don't think that. I don't think that at all. I think defensively, I think he is better. I think that's where the separator is right now. But I also think that offensively, I think that Joker is better than Giannis. And I had to walk that back because I said that Giannis was a better offensive player than Joker. That is not true. No, he is not.
But Showtime, what about when Giannis turns his brain off?
How often does he do that? That's the problem.
Yeah. He can't hit that mid-range consistently. That's the big issue with Giannis, for me at least.
What's up, Sebastian?
What's up? So I was gonna mention something completely else, but I had to address this whole altitude thing. So chill, you know how I'm from Florida, right?
I do.
So for 20 years, from 97 to 2017, my family had this apartment in Breckenridge, Colorado, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you brought it up. I was just talking with my dad with this, right? And he tells me what you just said. Miami didn't just get to Colorado; they've been there for 48 hours. Your body gets used to the altitude when it's there. And they're there for over 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And these are some of the best conditioned athletes in the world. It annoys me that they say that Miami cannot. Don't get me wrong. Denver is probably the best team right now in the NBA, right? But Miami, they have a great rhythm going on. And I think the series is going 6+.
And on top of that, they just got finished playing. Today is Thursday. I mean, game seven was Monday. Right, and like I said, Denver hasn't played in 9 days. Big Ox, man, you have had this conversation. Who would you rather fight? Would you rather fight the dude who's been sitting around or the dude who just got off somebody's ass? Right. I can tell you who I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight that dude who just got off somebody's ass because he's looking at you like I'll whoop your ass too.
And the thing about Miami too is, I mean, obviously these are already, NBA players are already, some of the best conditioned athletes. But Miami in particular is always a team where you know what I'm saying, you're required to stay in shape. You know what I'm saying? There's requirements to be on the Miami Heat as far as your body and the type, and how you treat your body.
And that's not and what Big Ox is talking about, that's not a requirement by a handshake. That's in the contract. That's a part of these guys' contract. Tim Hardaway had a clause in his contract where he got an extra $500,000. He had to play at 190 pounds. Shaq had to play at a specific weight. It was in his contract. Antoine Walker had to play at a specific weight. It was in his contract. Kyle, these guys have to be at a certain weight. That's a part of the deal. That's not just word of mouth like, yo, you need to get in better shape. No, we got a deal. It's in the contract.
Ox, I think you remember I mentioned this to you, that do you think Denver might have a chance of being a little bit rusty? I mean, this is probably the longest they've been without basketball, because if you think about the All-Star weekend, that's like 6 days. This is nearly 10. This is a week and a half that they haven't played basketball. And of course, they're going to look at film and they're going to have a game plan, but playing basketball and conditioning or practicing is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was going to initially tell you guys, I wanted to name 5 of the greatest coaches ever, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you my 5, and then I want you guys to give me yours. So I got Greg Popovich, Red Auerbach. I have Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, and Eric Spoelstra.
Well,
you got...
You can make an argument that Spo is better than Steve Kerr at X and O's. I think you can make an argument that Spo is better at adjustments than Steve Kerr. He's been around longer. I think Spo is better than Doc Rivers. I think he's better. I think you can make an argument he's better than Steve Kerr. I'm not sure he's better than Lenny Wilkins. I won't go that far. I'm not sure he's better than K.C. Jones.
Boston?
Yes, I'm not sure he's better than K.C. Jones. Those are 2 guys that come up. I'm not sure he's better than Don Nelson.
Don Nelson was I forgot. That was in the 70s, 80s, right? I forgot about Don Nelson.
In the 90s too, he was with the Warriors. He's with the Dallas Mavericks too. When they was in the Western Conference Championship in the early 2000s, he was with that crew. Those are 3 all-time coaches that I'm thinking about off the top of my head. Guys like Red Holtzman, because again, I mean, the game is a little bit more advanced today than what it was back then. But a guy like Phil Jackson, a guy like K.C. Jones, Lenny Wilkins, guys like that. Guys like these guys are not only stabilizers in the league, they also are guys who they do a great job in getting the best out of players. So,
do you have Pop and what's it called? Pop and Pat Riley in your top 5?
I do.
And do you think Red Auerbach is a little bit overrated since he coached in the 60s? Or
no, I don't. And the reason why I don't think he's overrated is because I feel like he revolutionized the game. Like what he did in terms of getting Bill Russell to play the way that Bill Russell played defensively, not just getting him to play the way he played defensively, getting the most out of guys like Havlicek, who was a rotation player, averaging 20 a game coming off the bench. Just getting the most out of these guys offensively, how fast they started playing once they got Bill Russell, and how he sped the game up. I do not think that he was blessed. I do not think that that Red Auerbach was overrated. No, I don't.
You have any stand talks?
I mean, this it's a big same group of guys. It's all the elite guys.
Right.
we know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go pretty much any way with them.
Chuck Daly too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think as long as you have guys like Pop, Phil, those guys in there, Pat Riley, you on a good track.
All right.
Yeah, well, appreciate y'all for
yes,
popping
sir.
up, man. Y'all stay in the chat.
I'll see you, chill. I'll see you on
right.
Chill.
Yes, sir. We'll be around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chuck Daly definitely was
definitely Chuck Daly. How I forgot about Chuck Daly.
Daniel Mason, OG and Ox. Question for you both: What does Jaylen Brown do better than Anthony Edwards? What you think about that, Chill?
Well, I think that he's a little bit more experienced. I think he may be a little bit better when he shortens his game. I don't think he's a better ball handler, but I think he may be a better in short spaces. I think he may be a better one-on-one player. I don't think he's a better transition player. I think Anthony Edwards is a better athlete. I don't think the defense is that far off. I think he shoots the long ball better than Anthony Edwards. I also think he knocks the mid-range down better than Anthony Edwards. So if in terms of an athlete, but in terms of an athlete, I think Anthony Edwards is a better athlete. I think he does more. I think Anthony Edwards does more when he's not scoring the basketball. I think he does more off the basketball. I think as a defender, I think he rebounds it. I think he's a better off-ball defender. I think he's a smarter defender. I think he's a better transition defender. I would have to give the edge to Anthony Edwards.
Really?
Yeah. But it's not by much. It's really close between those two.
Yeah. I go the opposite. I got the edge to Jaylen Brown. But I mean, I like Ant. I think that's definitely a fair question. Let me see who's let me get that out of there. From Rollo 555, all-time starting five in Nuggets history.
All-time starting five in Nuggets history. So I got Fat Lever at the 1. I got David Thompson at the 2. I got Carmelo at the 3. Let's see here. I got Dan Issel at the 4, and I got Joker at the 5.
Okay. From Spool. OG, I think you forgot about my super chat on your channel from last week. The one about your favorite current player from each position.
Oh, from each position. I don't know if you did. I missed. I don't know. I don't know if I even seen that one.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Are you missing super chats?
No, I'm not doing that. But the best players I think from every position. So at the lead guard spot, I'm a big time Damian Lillard fan. I love Damian Lillard. Now we ain't talking about, and again, we're not talking about the best player. You're talking about your favorite players. So my favorite players at the lead guard spot, I'm a huge Damian Lillard fan. I dig him. I dig everything about Damian Lillard. At the 2 guard spot, I'm a big Anthony Edwards fan. I dig me some Anthony Edwards. At the small forward, Jason Tatum. At the power forward, Giannis. And at the 5, and I know a lot of guys are a bit skeptical of him, but I'm a big time Joel Embiid fan. When he's playing, when Joel Embiid is playing the way that I think he could play, he's definitely one of my favorite 5 men, no doubt.
Did you see what Robert Ory said about him on All the Smoke?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he said they would have won the series if he would have got his big ass on the block.
Which he ain't lying. Which he is not lying. If he, there's no way, and the reason why he's saying that from experience. There's no way Shaq would have allowed Marcus Smart to push him to the free throw line. There's no way Olajuwon would have allowed Marcus Smart to cover him at the elbow. He would have dragged Marcus Smart low ass right on that block and punished him.
Right, and that's what he was saying. He was saying, you know, you got to drown him. Take him down low and make him feel it.
Take him to the deep water and drown him 100%.
Fellas, what's going on?
Chilling like a villain. What up, y'all?
What up?
You know,
what up? What up? Chill. What up? Yeah, I wanted to ask real quick.
Real quick, Breezy. Let Dale cook. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What up?
Okay, I'll weaken everybody. Okay, what you were saying, Breezy?
Oh, I was saying, I'm just kicking up dust, see where it's settled. You know what I mean? I'm a rebel. I feel like
Yeah.
Denver. I feel like Golden State is out in the West now, and I feel like Denver is the team to beat in the West. How you feel, Chill? You feel like they're the team to beat now?
Well, I said that before the series. I said that before the season started. That I thought the road to the NBA championship went through Golden State, and I thought that the Denver Nuggets had the best shot at beating them because they were the most complete team in the West. I saw what Memphis was doing. I saw what Phoenix was doing. I thought the Phoenix would be in the conversation. The Lakers. I thought that the Lakers were right on the inside of the play-in tournament. I thought they were a 6 seed, right? But Dallas was another team that I thought was a play-in team. But as far as the better teams in the West, I thought that the Denver Nuggets had the best opportunity to drop the Golden State Warriors. The Lakers ended up doing it, and they ended up dropping the Lakers. So,
Word. I just wanted to ask this last thing. How do you appreciate the Denver Nuggets having Murray from 2016 and Jokic from 2014, just kind of letting them grow to be where they at now? And how do you feel about that?
well, we just were talking about that earlier before you got on. We was just talking about what that kind of togetherness brings, and it brings stability. What that kind of stability brings, like, so not just Joker and Jamal Murray, who've been on the crew for 7 years, and Mike Malone, who's been the head coach for 8 years, right? You get MPJ, he's been on the crew for 4 years. You get KCP, he's been on the crew for the last 2 years. Aaron Gordon, he also been on the crew for the last 2 years. So when you building something like that, when you building a crew like that, you're going to get stability, right? And when you get stability, you're probably going to get good results. If you think about the best teams that's in the playoffs, that were in the playoffs, the Denver Nuggets, Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat, who am I thinking about that last team? Boston, Denver. Oh, and the Golden State Warriors, the defending NBA champ. The one thing that all these teams have in common is they've been together for a long time. When you're together for a long time, that kind of continuity builds. Because that kind of continuity builds, you get good results. So I'm feeling what Denver's doing. Denver might be one of those teams that could go on a run, yo.
No, I'm with you. Thanks, Jill.
Yep.
Was good, y'all. D Reed.
Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, you straight.
Okay, I know. So it's a couple things I heard up here the past 30 minutes that I got. I wish Leaf was up here because I wanted to tell boy he was tripping, but I'm gonna leave that alone. Where
you at, Leaf? Pop up on you.
Yeah, Leaf, wow,
yeah, come back up here, Leaf.
Yeah, because he got these dudes smoking. He got these dudes smoking Miami. And I'm like, wait a minute, B. I ain't saying that. I'm not saying that Miami can't be beat, but smoking these dudes, easy, fam.
As far as what OG just said about who we think the best player is, I usually never disagree with OG. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I hear him talk, it's more so of something that I'm learning from. You know what I'm saying? So I never disagree. It's always something to learn. But when I look at the best player in the world now, when I'm looking at Jokic and Giannis, I feel like what Jokic lacks on the defensive end, as far as the rim protection people want from him, you know what I'm saying? The highlight blocks and the ability to switch on the guards and stop guards. I feel like it's only 2-3 players at his position that can do that. AD, Bam, and maybe Robert Williams. You know what I'm saying? So what we asking from Jokic, I feel it's only 2 or 3 players at his position, you know what I'm saying, that can actually do that. Now, when we looking offensively, there's no center in the league, I feel, that can do what Jokic does on a regular basis. I feel Embiid is up there with him scoring-wise, but when we look at the offensive rebounding, when we look at the playmaking, when we look at the tough shot making, making it better, making it easier on teammates, I feel like Giannis not up there. His lack of post game, lack of mid-range shot, 3-point shot, lack of free throw shooting. I feel like there's more ways to neutralize him. I'll take my chances, Giannis coming down in transition on a block charge call. I'll take that because I know he's missing one of the free throws. You know what I'm saying? With Jokic, we can grab the board, grab the defensive rebound with Jokic, and we could, boom, bullet pass down court, no dribbles needed, 2 points easy. I can look at Giannis, he can grab the defensive rebound, and he could take the ball up court, 3 dribbles, and he can get a layup. But when I look at the total offensive package that Jokic brings, I don't feel I could put Giannis over him for that reason. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish your point.
Like I said, what Giannis lacks offensively, I don't feel what he does on the defensive end makes up for that. Whereas what Jokic does on the offensive end when it comes to the offensive rebounding, extra possessions, playmaking, passing, I feel that makes up for what we look for in a center on the defensive end. Like I said, it's only 2 or 3 centers in the league that we ask a big man to do. And AD, Bam, and Robert Williams as far as switching out on the guard and neutralizing for possession.
Fair. That's fair. And I think Giannis's game is going to get expanded running with Nick Nurse, because playing for Nick Nurse, I think he's going to be even better defensively, which is going to expand his offensive game. So because he's going to be better defensively, that's going to speed up his transition game. Giannis is one of the best transition players in the game. Now, you just mentioned the centers, like it's only a couple of centers who could switch on the smalls or switch on the small forwards or switch on the bigs as well. So that's the reason why these guys are who they are. That's why we talk about Giannis the way we talk about him. That's why we talk about Joker the way we talk about him. That's why we talk about Embiid the way we talk about him, because they can do only a few things that other people they can do things that other people, only a few people can do. That's why they are as big a deal as they are. Now, with that being said, I had to walk back the idea that Giannis was a better offensive player than Joker, because when I watch Joker all the way around, I think Joker is a better offensive player. Now, with that being said, the dominance, how smart Giannis is, I can't discount how great an offensive player Giannis is, because Giannis is one of the better passers as a big. Not only is he one of the better passers as a big, he can knock down the mid-range. He hasn't been that good this season, but he has been able to knock down the mid-range. Not to the extent of Joker. So again, I'm not going to say that, but he has been good enough to knock down the mid-range. He will shoot the long ball. I think the mid-range has been, I think it's not this season. I think last season it was more respectable than it is this season. I think he can get back to that. I think in terms of being a transition player, I mean, when you averaging 30 and 13, I mean, you ain't just doing that getting layups, right? You're not just doing that getting layups and bowing guys over. There are some skills to that. And the fact that defenses collapse on Giannis the way that they do, that does open up the offense a lot for guys like Jrue Holiday, Middleton, and he gets those guys involved. I don't think he does it to the extent he doesn't do it to the extent of Joker, but I still think that he's an elite offensive player.
I agree. I mean, like you said, it's nip and tuck. You know what I'm saying? You can't go wrong with either one.
Right. What up?
I got a question.
Yep.
So for next season, what teams do you think could?
We can hardly hear you, my man.
I can hear him.
You can?
Is it low?
Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Say it again, my man. You said next season. What teams next season?
What teams can exceed expectations next year?
Well, it depends on what the expectations are. I think that's the most important part. So that's kind of an empty question. So who are we at? Who are we talking about? Are we talking about the Atlanta Hawks? What's the expectations for the Atlanta Hawks? Are the Atlanta Hawks expected to just make the playoffs? If they end up in the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, do I think that that's going to happen for them? That's not likely. A team that can exceed expectations. I think Orlando can make some noise. I think Orlando can make some noise. I think that, like the Beam, I think Sacramento is going to make some more noise. I think that they're going to be better next season. A lot of people saw them in the playoffs this year. They're expected to make the playoffs next year. I don't think they're expected to make a deep run. I think that they could do that next year. Yeah. Depending on what the matchups are, not only what the matchups are, depending on health, I think Sacramento can make a deep run in the playoffs next year. Sure. So it depends on what teams and what the expectations are for these teams.
Okay. So like for example, like let's say like the teams are like either like the play-in or like barely miss the playoffs. What teams could like, jump into like the top of the play-in or maybe step into the playoffs?
So like the Chicago Bulls. Yeah. I don't think that the Chicago Bulls I don't think that they're going to exceed expectation. I think the Bulls are who they are. They lost their point guard, and I think that that's been detrimental to them. Atlanta, they got to make significant changes. Otherwise, they're a mid team at best. Toronto is another team that they got to make some changes. They just lost their head coach, so they very well could take a step back. I think Indiana could get better. I do. Depending on what they're looking at, I think that they could get better. The Portland Trailblazers is another team. I mean, they ended up in the 9th spot before Damian Lillard went out. I think that they're going to make some significant upgrades, and I think that they could make the playoffs next year. Another team, Minnesota. I banked on Minnesota last year.
Me too.
And there was a stretch where I had them as a top 5 seed. There was a stretch where I think they was like a game out the 5 spot, a game or 2 out the 5 spot. So they were right there. So it wasn't like they were that far away. They're kind of married to that unit.
Chill. What about OKC?
That's what that was the next team that I was going to. Before you even said that, that was the next team that I was going to. I was thinking OKC. Now that they get Chet in the fold, they're gonna get another draft pick this year. I think that they could very well be not a play-in team. I think they could be a legit playoff team.
Now,
go. Since we speaking on teams, I don't want to spend too long on it. But as far as these Boston Celtics and splitting up or trading, you know what I'm telling Jaylen Brown in the offseason as my second best player? Stop dribbling with your head down. Tighten up your handle. Stop jumping in the air not knowing if you're gonna pass or shoot. Like it's simple. It's not. I'm not trading. No. If you're a GM, the Boston Celtics, that's the team you build to compete for a championship. Two-way wing, two-way player.
Real quick, D. Let me ask you this question: when are we trading a 27 a game dude?
I don't know.
And not just a 27 a game dude, a 27 a game dude that's a good locker room guy, that's a good player who's 27 years old, 26 years old. You want me to come off of him? What am I coming off of him for? And I got a 25-year-old running with him, and they work really well together.
I'm not just pointing the finger at Jaylen Brown. He had his mistake. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things that I seen last year that I seen this year. Jason Tatum, you on the docket too, sir.
Yep.
Stop shooting them long ISO ball threes. Get in the mid-range. Post up. Make it easier on yourself. You're a great free throw shooter. You're a good mid-range shooter. You're a good three-point shooter. Mix it up a little bit. Like I'm talking to everybody on the team. I'm not trade like I said. That's the team you would build ideally if you're trying to win a championship. Defenders at all 5 positions. Defenders coming off the bench, shooters coming off the bench, shooters at all 5 positions. I'm not trading nobody. All y'all get better.
Facts.
You hear that, Big Ox? What that's called accountability. I ain't letting you off the hook. Get better. This ain't good enough.
Well, you know my main reason for saying they was going to trade is just a money issue. But you know, if they could work that out, then you know that's cool. That's cool.
Right.
Crazy. $600 million in 2 players. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. That's too much money. But fellas, well, we do got to move on. You know, this ain't one of those crazy long shows. You know, Chill with Chill is not a 3-hour, 4-hour show. But appreciate y'all for pulling up.
All right, now appreciate
you graveyard shift tonight or no?
I'm probably. I probably will.
All right, for real. Salute.
All right,
yes,
fellas.
sir. OG, salute.
I'll see y'all soon. No doubt.
Yeah. Chill. Before we do, cut it out though. I did want to talk to you about something specific.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it quite a bit on the panel, and it's the whole situation with just Scottie Pippen. Just Scottie Pippen. What's going on with Scottie? Are people taking what he said out of context about Michael Jordan? Just all around from his game to who he was to who he is now, and just what's quick overview. What's going on?
So on the one hand, I can understand Scottie's gripe. Let's just take Jordan off the table. Scottie Pippen is synonymous with being Robin, and I don't have a problem with Robin. In fact, I dig Robin. That's why they call it the dynamic duo.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin, there's a reason why they call it the dynamic duo, because both of them together are awesome. It's not like it's just Batman. No, both of these guys together are awesome. But what Scottie Pippen is downgraded. People talk about him like, well, you only was nice because you was running with him. When in reality, that streak goes both. That's a two-way street. As good as I was running with him, well, I made him better too. And the fact that you guys talk about me like, well, the only reason why I'm as good as I am is because of him. Well, that's partially true. Now, I don't agree with Scottie saying that he was a horrible player because you don't walk into the league as a young player and the idea is to win championships. Unless you Shaq, unless you Olajuwon, unless you David Robinson, where they building a unit around you. When you walk into the league, even though they was building a unit around Jordan, that wasn't the plan when he walked into the league. He walked into the league and he was on a terrible Bulls team. Because he was on a terrible Bulls team, somebody got to lead a bad team in scoring. Somebody got to lead a bad team in rebounding. Somebody got to lead a bad team in shot blocking. All of those things. Jordan, on the other hand, when you get to that level and it's early on, I'm trying to prove that I can stick. I'm trying to prove that I'm good enough to stick around, as opposed to I'm just here to win championships. No, you're not. Not early, you're not. You are here. I'm here to show that I'm an NBA player and I'm good enough to stick. Jordan did that over the course of the first 4 years before Scottie Pippen showed up. Now, we hold Jordan to that logic. We hold Jordan to that standard of winning because people bring up the fact that, well, he was 6-0 in the NBA Finals. Well, he is 6-0 in the NBA Finals, but the difference is that his career didn't start in 1991, right? He had 6 years in the league before that. That's not what happened when he first came into the league. So I can't hold him to that standard. When they started building that thing around him, that's when it started to materialize, right? And I think Scottie, more than anything, I think he wants to be recognized as a great player. Plus, I think that relationship between him and Jordan, I don't think it's what everybody thought it was, Big Ox. I think that it was different, man. I don't think it was him and Jordan being as cool as we thought. I think that I don't think that them dudes is as cool as we thought that they were. I thought that they were a lot cooler than this, but turns out it seems like Scottie didn't feel that dude that much. That's what it seemed like. And now that we've gotten older and we've seen how Jordan was, not only did we see how Jordan was, we saw how Scottie was, and we saw the relationship that they had. And I think Scottie, looking back on it, seeing how their relationship was, that's kind of opening up some old wounds. Like, you know what, yo, you was a jack off to me, man. I ain't really that cool with you. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I hate when people try to play the role like Jordan was some like super nice guy. Like that's not even.
And again, one of the things that I remember hearing from the late great Kobe Bryant, he said that you have to be able to have those uncomfortable conversations. And the reason why is because you're going to run into a team that has a leader that's not afraid to have that conversation, and you're going to lose. So when you're on a team that's a championship team, it's not always, ice cream and rainbows. No, it's not that. It gets ugly sometimes. I get that part. But when we can come to it, when we can come to some sort of common ground where we can work together and we can get things done, they clearly were able to work together. I mean, we're talking about a team 6 times in 8 years won the NBA championship, right? 6 times in 8 years they won the NBA championship. So they were clearly working together and working together well. I think you don't have to be a nice guy all the time. I mean, you have to be, especially as a leader, there has to be some force behind him. I mean, don't think that because Tim Duncan was quiet that he wasn't getting in guys' ass in practice, because I'm sure that was going on. Sure, and I'm sure that he was getting in guys' ass during the games. I'm sure that was going on. Same thing with LeBron James, as diplomatic as LeBron James can be. I'm sure he gets in the guy's ass. I'm sure he has throughout the course of his career. Dwayne Wade also. Shaq, I've actually seen him do it. So Olajuwon, as quiet as he is, he's also been another one of those guys. When you're talking about a leader, you can't always be, hey, listen, can you rebound a little bit more? Hey, listen, I need you to. No, it gets ugly sometimes. Yes, it does get ugly sometimes. And because that's just part of it. I think the biggest problem that we have in Big Ox is that, me in particular, I found out that Jordan was a jack-off. I did. I found out that Jordan was not what I thought he was. He just had a really good publicist. And I was and I still am to this day, a huge Jordan fan. Yeah. But it turns out, Jay wasn't what I thought he was.
Yeah,
no.
Facts. Real quick, let's grab these two up real quick. See, what's good, fellas?
What's up, man?
What up?
My
What up,
y'all?
Hey.
What's up, Jill?
What up, brother? What's going on with you? What you got?
Hey, man, I want to know. Hey, man, why everybody come up here asking who's better, than this? Who's better than that? Like, why are we comparing Jokic and Jimmy Butler like they play the same type of game?
They don't.
These are two completely different players. Everything in basketball is subjective. So, like, there's really no need to necessarily compare them as in who's better.
Mm-hmm.
It's more to say, like, what I like. This is what I like to see from any given player, from player A, player B. Also, why do people not add in stuff like if somebody's taller and can see over the defense to make certain passes like Jokic, like that absolutely plays a part in saying that somebody's quote unquote better, because people won't add in the fact that Allen Iverson is 6'1", doing everything that he's doing, talking about his efficiency troubles. Bro, he's 6'1". What do you expect him to do?
Right.
Can you just speak on that? How people just bring up certain things that are subjective and speak on them as if they're objective?
Well, the first thing, so with Buckets and Bam, with Buckets and Joker, well, they're the two best players on the team. So, of course, people are going to compare them. That was very much like when Jordan was going up against the Knicks, comparing Jordan to Ewing, even though Ewing played the 5 and Jay played the 2. But because they're the two best players on the team, you're going to compare these guys. Who's the best player? Well, you can't compare these guys because I play on the box. I don't play on the perimeter. Jay played on the wing. He doesn't play on the box, right? So I don't do this. Even though we got the same responsibilities as leaders, we don't have the same responsibilities as players. Those two things are completely different. And I do think that in some instances, you do have to compare two different people. You do have to do that. Now, in terms of a player's size, there's no way we can discount that a guy 6'7" as opposed to a guy 6'1". If I do the same thing that you do, who are you taking? I'm going with the 6'7" guy as opposed to the 6'1" guy. Every day, all day. I'm not going to go with as good as Allen Iverson is. If I have to choose between Allen Iverson at 6'1" and Allen Iverson at 6'7", I'm going with Allen Iverson at 6'7". No question about that. I mean, that's simple right there because size does matter. 100% it does. So,
hey, tell that to Mars. Tell that to Mars.
I will next time I talk to you.
What's up, Sid?
Yeah, what's up, man? I appreciate what y'all do. I'm a fan of the panel. I'm a fan of all the shows, actually.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, big Laker fan, big Eagles fan, big Braves fan I am. So here we are. It's more so of a statement. I kind of want to hear something off before it get too bad. I'm hearing a lot of people on TV say Joker the best player in the world. How can that be when he plays only one side of the ball? He plays no defense. That's kind of disrespect to Mike, Kobe, LeBron, anybody you consider the best in the league play both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. So how can Joker be the best when he only play when he only is an offensive player and he don't play any defense?
Well, two things. Number one, if you can remember, Magic wasn't that great on the defensive side of the ball. Magic was average at best, but Magic was so awesome on the offensive side of the ball that his offense kind of made up for what he did defensively. That's number one. Number two, when you think about a guy like Joker in terms of being the best player in the world, I have a problem with stuff like this because when you think about, like you just said, Kobe, you think about Jordan, they did things that led up to them being the best player in the world. It wasn't just, they won the NBA championship and you're the best player in the world. No, we had things where Kobe Bryant won the league MVP in 2008. They lost in the NBA finals. He gets to the NBA finals in 2008-09. They win the NBA championship and he wins the league MVP. He wins the finals MVP. He gets back to the NBA championship in 2009-10, right? And he wins the finals MVP again. So as much as I felt like James was the better player, even though he was the two-time league MVP, I couldn't deny what Bryant had done up until that point. And there were things that led up to him being the best player, as opposed to, I'm just going to anoint Joker as the best player in the world because he's in the finals. Well, wait a minute. What did he do leading up to this? Well, he is the two-time league MVP. He's been on the All-NBA. He's been an All-Pro for a number of years. Giannis did the same thing. He was a back-to-back league MVP. He was the defensive player of the year. So we're talking about guys who, when you anoint them as the best player in the world, they have to do things that lead up to that, as opposed to, you're in the NBA championship, you're the best player in the world. Nah, it's not that simple. Mm-mm.
Right. Yeah, and the people on TV, they count on gaslighting Jokic a lot right now, man. It's like, You got to give me some deep. You got to give me a little deep. Defense matters too, man.
It does. It does. And what I'd like to tell you with Joker, Joker is a guy, he does play defense. He's just not that great at it, but he gives you great effort. So if you and me racing and you beat me by this much, that don't mean I ain't running hard. I'm trying. I just ain't as fast as you. That's all it is. And the same thing's going on with Joker. Joker plays defense. I'm just not as good as Embiid. I'm just not as good as Giannis. I think Joker has the most contested shots in the league this year. So he's trying to play defense. I mean, Joker is a double-digit rebounder, right? I think he leads the Denver Nuggets in blocked shots last season when he won the league MVP. So it's not like he ain't trying to play D. He's just not as good as Embiid. He's just not as good as Giannis. He's not as good as Rudy Gobert. He's not as good as these guys, but he's trying.
Yeah, facts. Y'all got anything else before we wrap it up, or?
Yeah, I got one more. So
what's up?
Luka missing when Luka missing the playoff. Luka shouldn't go in. Luka should still be a top 5 player, right?
Well,
ticket logic.
Yeah, I do know that, and I still have Joker. I'm sorry, I still have Luka in the top 5 because this thing isn't a year-to-year thing for me, and the reason why is exactly what I just mentioned. There's things that he did to build up to being a top 5 player, and because one instance happened, that doesn't just drop you out of the top 5. Now, if they don't make the playoffs next year, yeah, we got a problem. We got a huge problem, 100%. Yes, we got a huge problem. Right. So there's things that Luka has done to lead up to him being a top 5 player, how he performed in the playoffs, right? Not only how he performed in the playoffs, how he's performed in the regular season, being an all-NBA performer, being an all-star, being a first-team all-NBA performer over the course of time. So there's things that he's done to live up to earn the stripe of being a top 5 player. Now, he is on notice because if they end up losing and not making the playoffs next year, or they're a play-in team and they don't make the playoffs, yeah, we're gonna have a problem. Yes, we will. 100%. Yes, we will. So, all right, my man, it's good to talk to you, though, brother. I appreciate you coming through.
Appreciate y'all too, man. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Absolutely, brother. No doubt.
All right.
Absolutely, brother. Good to talk to you. No doubt.
Looks like we're gonna wrap it up now.
Yes, sir.
We got the water super chats like we always do.
Mm-hmm.
Before we do go though, let me go ahead and shout out our gold members. That's Comatose, Heramis, MR, Dorian Clayton, and Avion Plummer. If you want to become a gold member, just click join and you'll see all the membership offers. We appreciate y'all for stopping by. As always, we'll see you again Saturday, 9 Pacific, noon over noon Eastern. Chilltown, you got anything?
Hey, don't drink and drive. Love yourself. Take care of yourself. Until then, take it light, but take it.
Man, y'all enjoy game 1 of the finals, man. Like I said,
sir.
We need to sign a petition to make this day a holiday.
Finals is